brace of the front bearing, which is pressed into the front of the housing. From the front of the machine, grab the shaft and pull it out of the bearing housing. The old front bearing cup was knocked out of the housing by striking the rear of the shaft. On the back of the machine again, here's the rear seal mounted in the rear seal holder. The 4 bolts which hold the rear seal holder in place are removed, and the rear seal holder is taken from the housing. When removing it, be aware that there are shims between the rear seal holder and the housing. These shims must be saved because when replacing the seal holder, it's necessary to put the same number and color shims back to maintain the correct bearing clearance. These are the parts necessary to rebuild the housing. The rear bearing cup, which will be pressed into the rear seal holder. The thrust washer. It must be placed on the shaft before the front bearing cone is pressed on. The renewable seal sleeve also must be replaced on the shaft before putting the shaft back into the machine. The other parts are the new set of shims, seals, bearings, O-rings, and other various hardware. In the clean work area, the old bearings are pressed off the shaft and the new bearings pressed into place. You must install the thrust washer on the shaft before the front bearing is pressed on. Jim installs the seals in the front seal holder. First, the middle seal, which is a water seal, is pressed in from the front of the housing. A plastic mallet and brass bar are used so as not to harm the seal. When striking the seal, hit the outer edge only. These seals may also be installed in the press, provided you have a fitting that will match the outer diameter of the seal. The next seal to be installed is the other water seal, and this particular water seal faces the water. The casing is stainless steel, and it is vital it be directed toward the water. Also, be absolutely certain that the lip of each seal is installed facing in the proper direction. The third seal being installed is the oil seal. Again, with the brass bar and plastic mallet, press the seal into position. Now, with the seals in position, fill the area between the 2 water seals with grease. This will keep the seals and seal sleeve lubricated during operation. The grease used is Shell Albania EP number 2, also sold as Shell MP grease. This is the tapered cup of the front bearing. The front seal holder is complete with the new seals installed and greased. The O-rings on the outer edge of the seal holder are now installed. The rebuilt seal holder is ready to be installed in the machine. The cup of the rear bearing is pressed into the rear seal holder. Note that the wide edge of the taper faces up so that when it is installed in the machine, the wide edge will face the bearing cone. It's a rather simple job to press the cup of the bearing into the rear seal holder, but always use a plastic mallet to do this particular job. The rebuilt rear seal holder with the appropriate new shims is now installed into the rear end of the housing so that we may be able to hold up the rear end of the shaft when we slide the shaft in. If for some reason you lose the old shims, or if the clearance does not work out properly, contact our factory for the proper procedure for re-establishing the quantity necessary for the 2 to 3 thousandths clearance. With the rear seal holder installed, go back to the front of the machine, take the rebuilt shaft, and with its new seal sleeve and bearing cones pressed on, and slide it into the front of the housing. Next, slide the cup for the front bearing into the front of the housing as far as it will go. Now, take the rebuilt front seal holder and slide it into place. It will only go as far as the outer race of the front bearing will allow it. Install 2 long screws with nuts. Tighten them down into the bearing housing as deeply as possible to avoid pulling the threads out when tightening the nuts to push the seal holder into place. With diagonal motion, and not more than 1/4 to 1/2 turn per side, tighten the nuts. This will push not only the seal holder into place, but will also push the cone for the front bearing into place. Once the front seal holder is in place, the screws are then removed from the housing, and the 4 seal holder bolts can then be reinstalled. Now those 4 bolts and locking tabs are reinstalled. After all 4 bolts have been tightened evenly, bend all locking tabs over onto the 4 screws. Move to the rear of the housing again and tighten all 4 bolts which hold the rear seal holder in place. Once they are all tightened evenly, it's time to install the rear seal. It's a good idea to use a piece of shim material inside the lip of the seal so as not to harm the lip when sliding it onto the shaft. Put the seal into place. Use a brass bar and tap the seal until it fits inside the rear seal holder, even with the outer edge. Once this is done, remove the piece of shim which was protecting the lip of the seal. Check to be sure that the seal is properly in place. Bend over all locking tabs to securely hold the 4 bolts in place. And at this point, Doctor, your job as a surgeon is done. You may now call in the support team to close up the patient. Now that we've seen the demonstration, we know this job can be done in the field in certainly less than an hour. Well, would you believe 2 hours? Would you believe 2 days? Actually, the time a job takes in the field really depends on the condition of the machine, plus all of those other factors particular to that installation. In all cases, however, the procedure remains the same. We do conduct service seminars around the country during the year. For the one nearest you and the brochure detailing the seminar, please contact me. You may call me at area code 504-464-0165, or you may write. The address, Peller and Milnor Corporation, Post Office Box 400, Kenner, Louisiana, zip code 70063. Thank you for your interest in our product, and I really look forward to seeing you soon at one of our service seminars. All right, Jimmy, go ahead. Just go in, stoop down, turn your wire down. Okay, now stand up, take the screw off. That's it. Lean that way a little bit. Put the screw right on top of the side of the soap chute. Put your screwdriver in your pocket after. Just lean it on the side of the machine once you get it off. Put the gasket on the floor. There you go. Take your driver. Watch it don't fall off on your foot now. Okay, put your driver down and just hold it out and kind of turn sideways. Hold right there. All right, and cut.